Hello, I'm Dr. Darnell, and welcome to this video about management theory, bureaucratic management. At the end of the session, you will be able to identify the founder of bureaucratic management theory, define bureaucratic management theory, describe the concepts and elements of bureaucratic management, and summarize the strengths and weaknesses of bureaucratic management. Bureaucratic management is part of classical management theory. From the early works of the management pioneers in the mid or late 18th, 19th century to early 20th century, classical management emerged. Classical management theory is a body of knowledge, thought based on the belief that employees have only economical and physical needs, and that social needs and a need for job satisfaction either don't exist or are unimportant. Accordingly, this school advocates high specialization of labor, centralized decision-making, and profit maximization. To have originated at the end of the 19th century and in the beginning of the 20th century, classical management theory dominated management thinking in the 1920s and 30s by emphasizing on the efficiency of the work process. Classical management theory has three schools of thought: scientific management, which identifies the best way to do the line of work, which we'll cover in another video; administrative management, which emphasizes the flow of information within the organization, which will also be covered in another video; and bureaucratic management, which focuses on rules, procedure, and hierarchy and a clear division of labor, which is the topic of this video. Bureaucratic management theory, when you hear that term these days, the word bureaucrat or bureaucracy is often associated with negative connotations. But at the time it was developed, in the late 19th century by Max Weber, it was designed to solve some pretty big problems in the way organizations were being run. Weber was a German sociologist and historian who envisioned a system of management that would be based upon impersonal and rational behavior. The approach to management now referred to as bureaucracy. Weber was born in 1864, and that meant he entered adulthood at the time when industrialization meant how employees were organized was becoming increasingly important. So society was moving towards larger and larger organizations, from farms employing dozens of people to factories employing thousands of people. He saw the organizing of large groups of people like this prevented new challenges, especially when it came to authority. Now, at this time, most organizations were running based on what's called traditional authority, where how well you did was based on who you knew, not what you knew, and how well you worked. And today we call this favoritism or cronyism. Weber called it particularism, where a particular group of people had a disproportionate sway over the organization. Weber saw that it was unlikely that this was the best way to run an organization. Because of the problems Weber saw with traditional authority, he favored a more rational approach to running organizations and helping achieve its goals. There were two parts to Weber's bureaucratic theory. The first is a clear organizational structure, and the second are clear rules about decision-making. Weber contended that organizational hierarchy defines how people are structured and fit within the organization. For example, a typical company will have a CEO at the very top of the hierarchy, followed by an executive board, and each board member will then be responsible for managers who in turn will manage employees, etc. Weber wanted each hierarchy to have what he called legal rational authority, and what that means is that authority sets with a position in the hierarchy, not with a person or individual. For example, your subordinate would never be able to tell you what to do, even if they happen to be the son of the CEO, because their formal position in the hierarchy just doesn't hold that power. So basically, your authority comes from the position you hold in the hierarchy and nothing else. Bureaucracy is defined as the system for controlling or managing a country, company, or organization that is operated by a large number of officials employed to follow the rules carefully. Weber's theory of bureaucracy recognizes legal rational authority as the most important type in any organization. But Weber has three types of authority that he defines in his bureaucratic theory of bureaucracy. The first is traditional authority. People follow an individual because they belong to some class or hold a role that is historically recognized as having power, like a real family. Charismatic authority is where obedience is based on the belief of followers that a person has some special appeal or power. Rational legal authority, obedience is owed to a role or rank legally formed within the hierarchy of a company, military organization, government, etc. As noted earlier, Weber's theory recognizes this legal authority as the most important type in any organization. Under traditional authority, leaders are not chosen for their competence. Whereas charismatic authority is too emotional and irrational, Weber wanted each hierarchy to have what he called legal rational authority. According to Weber, there were 6 characteristics of a bureaucracy. The first is task specialization or division of labor. Weber felt that task specialization promotes the timely completion of work at the highest level of skill. Tasks, therefore, in Weber's ideal organization were divided into categories based on team members' competencies and areas of expertise. Employees and departments have clearly defined roles and expectations in which they are responsible for solely for the labor they do best. This is designed to maximize efficiency for the organization. Overstepping one's responsibilities, such as presenting new ideas outside your department's scope, was generally frowned upon. Next is hierarchical management structure. Weber advocated that management should be organized into layers, with each layer being responsible for its team's performance. Weber believed that each layer of management should provide supervision to the layers below them while subject to the control of those above them. Thus, individuals at the top of the hierarchy have the most authority, while those at the bottom have the least authority and power. This hierarchical structure clearly delineates lines of communication, delegation, and the division of responsibilities. Next is formal selection rules. In the ideal organization, Weber believed that employees should be chosen based on their technical skills and competencies, which are acquired through education, experience, or training, and no other factor should be considered. And since workers are paid for their services, and services are divided by a job position, an employee's salary is entirely dependent on their position. Contract terms are also entirely determined by the organization's rules and regulations, and employees have no ownership or interest in the company. The next characteristic is efficient and uniform requirements. Employees, argued Weber, should always know exactly what is expected of them. In the ideal organization, the rules are clearly defined and strictly enforced. This promotes uniformity within the organization and keeps the company running as smoothly and efficiently as possible. If new rules and requirements need to be introduced, higher level management or directors are responsible for implementing and enforcing them. Another characteristic, impersonal environment. Under Weber's theory, relationships between employees are to be only professional. The impersonal environment characterized by Weber's bureaucracies is designed to promote decision-making that is based solely on facts and rational thinking. It prevents favoritism or nepotism, as well as involvement from outsiders or political influence, anything that could interfere with the mission of the organization. And finally, achievement-based advancement. Weber felt that promotions within the organization should be based solely on achievement, experience, and technical qualification. Personal favors, relationships, or personality traits should not factor into personnel decisions. There are 4 other important characteristics of the ideal bureaucracy. Clearly defined jobs. There should be no flexible roles. Rather, employees should be aware of their position's responsibility and stick to them. Straying outside their designated roles only disrupts the hierarchy of the authority. Meticulous record keeping. Leaders should take notes on every position, occurrence, or concern that involves the company. That way they can refer to it later and handle any issues accordingly. Hiring based solely on qualifications. Weber advocated that only the ideal candidate with the exact skill set should be required for the position and should be hired to ensure the best results. There should be no nepotism or no exceptions. Only those individuals with the right skills and expertise meet high standards of the organization should be hired. And work-appropriate relationships only. Weber did not condone any type of personal relationship in the workplace. He supported the notion that all work relationships are bound by rules and regulations, and there should be no small talk, collaboration, or sharing of ideas. Work is work. It isn't a social outing. There are a number of advantages of bureaucracy. Efficiency, predictability, and rationality. Efficiency in the hierarchy, where everyone has their specific job to perform and the roles and responsibilities are clear, which can lead to greater efficiency, so people are able to do their job faster and faster as they get better at it. Predictability. Having clear rules, procedures enables large organizations to cope with highly complex tasks. Rationality. A measure of objectivity is ensured by prescribing in advance the criteria for decision making in routine situations. There's also some limitations to bureaucracy: inflexibility, impersonality, and empire building. Inflexibility, while the hierarchy and rules encourage efficiency, they can be very slow to adapt to new situations. Impersonality, in a bureaucratic organization, stresses the mechanical way of doing things. Organizational rules and regulations are given priority over individuals' needs and emotions. Empire building. It's not uncommon for people climbing through the hierarchy to try to maximize their personal power by having the biggest team possible, or for the purposes of self-promotion and of appearing powerful and important. Another limitation is red tape. Bureaucracies are often associated with excessive red tape, whereby the structure and excessive rules and procedures slow tasks down and can lead to frustration for people trying to get things done to the best of their ability. Let's think about an example of bureaucracies. Bureaucracies exist throughout the world and throughout society. In the business world, as an example of some bureaucracies, we have many in the public sector, such as many parts of the government administration and military, and almost all universities in the private sector. We have businesses such as Coca-Cola, General Mills, IBM, which are all structured in a bureaucratic fashion. Of all the approximately 2,000 federal government agencies, divisions, and departments and commissions are all examples of bureaucracies. In an ideal bureaucracy, principles and procedures are based on rational, clearly understood rules, and they are applied in a manner that is never influenced by interpersonal relationships or political alliances. However, in practice, bureaucracies often fail to achieve this idea. So it's important to consider the pros and cons of the bureaucracy in the real world. The hierarchical structure of bureaucracy ensures that bureaucrats who administer the rules and regulations have clearly defined tasks. This clear chain of command allows management to closely monitor the organization's performance and effectively deal with problems when they arise. The impersonal nature of bureaucracy is often criticized, but this coldness is by design. Applying rules and policies strictly and consistently reduces chances that some people receive more favorable treatment than others. By removing the impersonal, or by remaining impersonal, the bureaucracy can help ensure that all people are treated fairly, without friendships or political affiliations influencing bureaucrats who are making decisions. Bureaucracies tend to demand employees with specialized educational backgrounds and expertise related to agencies and departments which they are assigned. Along with ongoing training, this expertise helps ensure that bureaucrats are able to carry out their tasks consistently and effectively. In addition, advocates of bureaucracy argue that bureaucrats tend to have higher levels of education and personal responsibility when compared to non-bureaucrats. While government bureaucrats do not make policies and rules they implement, they nevertheless play an integral role or part in rulemaking process by providing essential data feedback, and information to elected lawmakers. Due to the rigid rules and procedures, bureaucracies are often slow to respond to unexpected situations and slow to adapt to changing social conditions. In addition, when left with no latitude to deviate from the rules, frustrated employees can become defensive and indifferent to the needs of the people who deal with them. The hierarchical structure of bureaucracies can lead to internal empire building. Department supervisors may add unnecessary subordinates, whether through poor decision making or in order to build their own power and status. Redundant and non-essential employees quickly reduce the organization's productivity and efficiency. Absent of adequate oversight, bureaucrats with decision-making power could solicit and accept bribes in return for their assistance. In particular, high-level bureaucrats can misuse the power of their positions to further their personal interest. Bureaucrats, especially government bureaucracies, are known to generate a lot of red tape. This refers to lengthy official processes that involve submitting numerous forms or documents with many specific requirements. Critics argue that these processes slow down the bureaucracy's ability to provide a service to the public, while also costing taxpayers money and time. In this session, we identified the founder of bureaucratic management theory. We defined bureaucratic management theory. We described concepts and elements of bureaucratic management, and we summarized the strengths and weaknesses of bureaucratic management. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.